Hello, this is a presentation on negative externalities in the digital age. The presentation is based on a study and a column on the subjects from Darren Asimaklu and others. These will be linked in the end of the presentation if someone is interested. First, let's start by quickly going through a basic model on how social media platforms operate and data market business model. For the consumers, they provide a platform where they can connect with interesting people, and their business model is often to be also a marketing platform for companies where the social media platforms gather data on its users and is able to offer personalized marketing based on this data. Basically, users sell their data or more descriptively pay with their data in order to use the platforms. Because of this business model and utility for users, the platforms work better the more people are on it. For example, if you have 100 people you want to follow, it is better that they are all in one platform rather than there is 10 competitive platforms with 10 people on each of them. So where is the problem then? Consumers sell their data and are able to use the social media platforms for free. So sounds pretty good. The problem is that when we sell our data, we also reveal other users' data at the same time without their consent. When companies collect data about specific characteristics, they can use that to infer detailed information about the other users also. This often leads to lessen privacy values for all of the users. A perfect example of this is the Cambridge Analytica scandal. The company was able to acquire information of more than 50 million Facebook users from about 270,000 users who shared their data with the company. The data was then sold to political campaigns who used it to design personalized political messages and adverts. This had huge effects on 2016 US presidential elections and Brexit, and also a few others around the globe. In a research paper from Darren Asimaklu and the others have developed a theoretical model for these negative externalities of data sharing. In the model, they have a platform that purchases data from its users, individual users who sell their data based on the value they attach to their privacy. When each individual's data is only correlated with their own characteristic, preferences, actions, etc., market prices can accurately reflect the value of privacy and cost of data sharing. But when information about the users are correlated with others, the price mechanism breaks down because one's individual data sharing is revealing information about other users, making their data less valuable. Let's take an example. Suppose there is a platform with only 2 users on it, and the data of the users are highly correlated, so they are very similar people. Let's say that the value of the user's data for the platform is 1, and the value of user 1's privacy for her privacy is half, and second user has a lower privacy value, but it's still larger than 0. Both users can freely choose to sell their data or not, and in this case both users are willing to sell their data, because the data value for the platform is higher than their privacy value. However, because their data is highly correlated, if one user decides to sell her data, also the other user loses her privacy, and so this undermines the willingness of the users to protect their data. This leads to a per-trend kind of competition, with both users bidding their price lower and lower, and in the end the platform is able to get the data for approximately zero price, even though both users value the privacy higher in the first place. So what does this say about the equilibrium efficiency? When the data is higher, the value of data is higher than privacy values, the equilibrium is still efficient because the social benefits are positive. However, if the platform has users with higher privacy values than data values, the equilibrium can turn inefficient because other users selling their data are creating negative externalities for these high value users. This dynamic creates a distributional effect where the platforms benefit at the expense of the users. In other words, the surplus created is the platform is getting all of that. This also creates a situation where sharing one's data devalues data from other users to the platform and devalues privacy of the other users. This is because leaked information makes other users' data less valuable, and less data to protect the value of privacy lowers also, even if the privacy value has been very high at the beginning. Lowered privacy value can make users share data more easily, thus lowering value for other users even more. So it's kind of a vicious cycle. If you look at the graph, it shows a social benefits, meaning the total surplus on the y-axis and privacy value on the x-axis. Because of the leaked information, the price P is pushed too low, and people with high privacy values are destroying the surplus, which is showing here in the red. So what do these conditions mean for the equilibriums and social welfare generated by the markets? To help perceive the market's outcome, let's divide the users to two categories: the low value users whose privacy value are small, and high value users with high privacy value. Firstly, if there are a large number of low value users, then even though the data sharing leads to negative externalities and efficiencies, the benefits of data sharing from low privacy value users are so large that it leads to social benefits even when high value users suffer. In other words, the value generated for the platform and thus to the society is greater than the negative externalities for the users. So in this case, if we look at the graph, the social benefits created by the low value users for the platform is larger than the surplus destroyed by the high value users. If then again there are a large number of high value users, the data market may lead to destroyed surplus for the society. This is because value generated to the platforms is lower than the privacy value of high value users is compromised by the markets. In this case, it would be socially beneficial to shut down these data markets. Again, if we look at the graph, in this case, the negative surplus would be larger than the positive one. So, how can these markets be made more efficient? Are there any solutions? Of course, the theoretical first best solution is omnipotent, almighty economist, social planner that would impose individual taxes for each user that would counterbalance the negative externalities. But this isn't possible, of course. So, is there anything in the real world that we might do? Many could think that the competition between different platforms would lessen the inefficiencies, but however, in the paper, Asamaklu and the others show that this is not the case, because the same problems would occur in different platforms, and it would even lead to more inefficiency because the users would be fragmented across the platforms, lessening the utility of the users and exploited externalities of the platforms, leading to lower overall welfare. Second, many existing technological approaches are focusing on anonymizing the user's data, which is helpful in limiting the exposure of the user who is selling her data. However, this doesn't fix the problem because the concern and the negative externalities come from other individuals correlated with that data and not from the individual's data sharing. So the conclusion that Asamaklu and others come to is that to lessen the negative externalities, the answer is to decorrelate the user's data. Although this is easier said than done, one way of doing this could be to have a third party between the user and platform with whom the user are sharing their data, instead directly sharing it with the platform. This intermediary then purchases the data from the information that is correlated with other users' demographic groups before it shares it with the platform. This would limit the exposure of other users from one's data sharing. However, this also could have some problems, mainly that the third-party intermediaries may not be fully trustworthy either. So this leaves plenty of room for future research. So, what kind of research is needed? Asamaklu and others raise 4 important areas of research of data markets and economics of privacy that need further research. First, the effects of competition over data between different platforms and online companies, particularly in order to clarify the conditions under which competition limits or extirpates data externalities. Second, modeling how online platforms can exploit information about users for price discrimination and specific type of advertising, and whether application of personal data for designing personalized services can unbundle from their use for intrusive marketing, price discrimination, or misleading advertising. Third, realistic schemes for limiting the correlation between users sharing their data and others, or other methods for limiting data externalities. For example, how to design a model that ensures the trustworthiness of the third-party data intermediaries. And lastly, there is a need for a careful empirical analysis documenting and estimating the value of data to the platforms and the value of privacy to users in presence of data externalities. This was my presentation, and if someone is interested in further reading, there are the original study and a column about this topic. Thank you.